solve this.
Do you want to give us your opinion about it?
Yeah, that's really messed up.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Wow, yeah.
Also, what's your opinion on that?
I don't even know what to say. Wow.
Okay, I think it's awful because they're having their futures taken away from them. They have no say.
The fact is, it clearly goes against the will of the children, and she demonstrated that very obviously, but I mean, I guess in certain situations it's traditional, it's what's been going on for probably hundreds, maybe thousands of years, but that doesn't make it any more right. I mean,
I'd be very angry at my mom if she made me do that. If I didn't tell you. Especially at 11, I wouldn't even know what that really meant. Yeah, what that really meant, and especially she was very mature for her age, knowing that that wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that they have so much being taken away from them. Like a lot of us have big aspirations, to be doctors, lawyers. If you just have your future kind of decided for you, then you have no say. And so I think, like she said, it can cause to a lot of serious problems.
Everything that she said, I think she's totally right. All those things that happened to her are terrible, and
yeah.
I would never want that to happen to any child.
Okay, she's too young to do that. She's 11, and I don't think that should be happening. Families should not force their daughters to marry.
I mean, I think it kind of goes without saying that it kind of, defies our standard of how a parent should act towards their child. And I mean, to an extent, cultural differences matter, but I think there's a moral line that you can't really cross, and situations like that definitely cross it.
Do you mind if I play a little devil's advocate real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
So she's 11 years old. I mean, does that give her a right to make such a drastic, big decision like that?
I think it's certainly dramatic, and I don't think you'd see most 11-year-olds making a choice like that, but she certainly seems mature enough to know that, she needs to take her future into her own hands and can't really rely on her parents. They're going to treat her like that.
As an 11-year-old, she is young and she doesn't have the capacity to make big decisions like that. But her parents should. But she knows the difference between right and wrong. And that's the whole point about this. She knows it's wrong, so she's trying to do something about it.
Marriage is not a thing to consider for her age.
Parents are the ones, they're the ones deciding the future because they're raising the kids who are going to be the future one day.
Yeah.
And so seeing parents abuse their right as someone who has such a great power and influence over what is going to happen to the world, I think as even an individual as myself who doesn't have a child, I think I have a right to put a stop to that or voice my opinion.
The first thing I'll say is that, well, in Arabic we have a word for this kind of practice. It's actually a very old word. We call it jahiliyyah. It means ignorance, but a kind of very, very deep ignorance. And it's a word we use to characterize times in the Middle Ages, and it's commonly assumed that as time has gone on that jahiliyyah has sort of departed or has been done away with. People are enlightened in a way. That's not to say they're enlightened in a Western sense, because there's different kinds of enlightenment. It's understood and expected that marriage wouldn't actually be consummated until she was at least 15 or 20. It's more like a family ties kind of building element of the culture. I'll give you my daughter and you'll raise her in your house, but you won't consummate the marriage until she's actually of age.
Okay.
So it promotes a kind of friendship between the families, whereas here in the West and in today's age you have marriages that last for 1 year between consensual adults and they're not worth a damn.
Yeah.
So it's about perspectives and how the culture operates.
All right.
And Eastern cultures, especially Middle Eastern cultures, are inclined to hold on to their historic roots in that way, especially as relates to family ties. So I guess this is a remnant of that, but it's a remnant of that implemented without guidance and without foresight. Being a Muslim myself, I can attest to the fact that most of Yemen is a Muslim population, but some people, again, in maybe rural areas, they live in that kind of jahiliyyah. They have these sort of ignorant practices. But while I can't comment about the Yemeni culture, I certainly don't know the context of this girl's story. I'm inclined to believe her, but given that we don't know much about where she's from or her culture, I think it's wise to withhold any general comments about the Yemeni people or their way of life.
Appreciate it, man. This has really been insightful. Thank you very much.
Hey, if you liked the video, please subscribe. Also, don't forget to share your thoughts on the comments below. Thanks again, everyone.